This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I'm here with Brady Morgan, and he is an expert in helping you get connected with professional VAs overseas, cut your cost, and get you some assistance in many different fields, many different areas, many different departments. Because as we know, everyone in the creative real estate business, and it doesn't have to be just the creative real estate business, but usually we entrepreneurs start out as a one-man show and we're wearing every hat. And the sooner you start to get some help, the sooner you can watch your numbers go up, because it's the truth. 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 or sometimes 6. You just have to get the right people in place. So how you doing today, Brady?
Good, Mitch. Appreciate you having me on.
No problem. It's my pleasure to have you. I'm a big fan of VAs. Right before we get started, though, I got to pay homage to my sponsor, taxfreefuture.com. If you guys are tired of leaving your investments to the yahoos up there in Wall Street and want to roll over your retirement plans over to a self-directed retirement plan with checkbook control, and know that your annual dues are never going to be more than about $200 plus or minus, then you'll want to definitely look into taxfreefuture.com. The problem is, when you have retirement plans, there's people that'll let you start a retirement plan with no upfront costs, just the amount of money that you need to open the account. But then they start to fee you every time you turn around, payoffs, transactions, even a yearly maintenance fee based on the value of your account. So if you're a mover and a shaker, it is much better to pay upfront to get into one and then have a fixed annual fee for the rest of the duration of your account, which could be decades. So check it out, taxfreefuture.com. If you give your little micro information, first name, last name, phone number, and email address, you'll get privy to about 37 and counting little video vignettes. And they are very big eye openers as to what you can do with these things, how lucrative they can be, and most importantly, how to take a small amount of money and make it into a large amount of money in a short period of time. There are strategies out there that are perfectly legal, and this is one of the reasons the rich get richer. They study these kinds of things. So check it out, taxfreefuture.com. All right, got the bills out of the way there, paid the bills, Brady. Let's talk about a little bit of your background first, where you come from. You're in Nashville, Tennessee, right?
Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised.
All right. Probably the best kept secret in the world is I've been writing songs for 47 years, and I love that town. It's a brutal town if you're a songwriter, believe me, but it's a great town. And a lot of the greatest music in the world comes out of a couple of blocks down there. So I like Nashville. This business that you run, I suppose, though, you could run from anywhere, right?
Exactly right. Running from anywhere. I work from home full time, and I love it.
Yeah, so that is part of the point and why you may be interested in VAs, because the sooner you start looking at your business, whether it be the creative real estate business or any business, as soon as you start looking at it as, how do I step out of this business and it still run without me or with very minimal time from me, now you're starting to create a real business, and that should be the goal of everyone. I understand when we start out, that seems like a very, very long road. But if you keep your eye on that road and stay in the middle of that road and keep inching your way towards that goal, you eventually get there. And let me tell you what happens if you don't do that. You get to the end of the road and you're so exhausted that you'll want to throw your business away, even though it makes some decent money, but you can't do it anymore because you're fried, you're burned out. And it's almost too late at that point to start trying to automate your business and get people in place, because there's nothing emotionally in you left. So don't wait till you get to that point. And it will come, I promise you, especially if you're like wholesalers or house finders or house flippers. I mean, believe me, I have done it for 27 years. I know what that burnout looks like. And it can take a few years or a lot of years for some people, and it can take just a few years for other people, because it is grueling. And I suppose any kind of business is that way. What do you think about what I've just said, Brady, as far as making your business in a business and that you're going to get burnout sooner or later if you don't watch out?
Yeah, no, I think that's something that people don't necessarily anticipate when they start their own business. You're obviously super excited in the beginning. There's that honeymoon phase. But with anything, things can begin to become not fun anymore. Business is stressful. There's a lot of things that happen that are unforeseen. money lost, people and relationships lost. Like that's going to happen. It's part of it. So I think like, what can you control? Can you control relationships being lost? Maybe. Can you control money being lost? Maybe. But you do have full control over your time. I thoroughly believe that. You have full control over your time. I understand in the beginning, and it's a lot of wearing every single hat, but there becomes that point to where your business is no longer fun and it starts to feel like a job. And your business owns you rather than you owning it. So that's exactly what Mitch is saying is implement virtual staff, domestic staff, whatever into your business, remove yourself, focus on only the things that excite you, that you're good at. And it's no longer a job, it's a passion, and you own the business again at that point.
So I have about 7 or 8 VAs. I don't even know exactly because, sometimes they come and go or we add one. I haven't checked lately, but I know this. I've got it narrowed down to what I like to do in my business. What I like to do in my business is I'm responsible for making sure that there's enough money to buy every single house that walks in the door, that contract that comes through my door. So I've narrowed it down what I like to do. I like to take people to dinners, basketball games, football games, whatever. And I like to entertain wealthy people or people that have some residual income to invest or savings to invest. And that's what I do for my company now because I like it. It's socializing, it's moving around, it's going to events, it's going to dinners. I happen to like that stuff. And so what I do for my company right now does not feel like a job. I would be doing these things anyways, but now I'm kind of double dipping and using my social time as business time as well. And that's the reason why I have $26 million in private money, non-recourse, collateral only, payable monthly, 8%, 10 and 15-year money. That's what I spend my whole time doing. And it's amazing when you focus on the thing you're good at, how big that little department can get. If I would have ever thought that I would have $26 million of private money that I got to make payments to everybody on the first, I'd have said, you're crazy. But, I thought I was going to take a cut and pay when I put people on, like I'm going to have to take out of my money and pay them. Well, what happens is you start doing more business. And the reason is the person in that chair only has one thing to do. I might have been better than them at that one thing, but because I have that one thing plus 10 other things to do, I'm not nearly as good as that guy doing the one thing that I trained him to do the one thing. And then you get 7 or 8 people like that in your business that their specialty is their one thing. The numbers start to rack up and you don't take a cut and pay to have all this help. You make more money than you ever made. And I've heard it said, I didn't believe it, but like me, I don't believe any of these concepts I read until I do them. And then I see them with my own 2 eyes with my own business. And all of a sudden I own the concept in my heart,
Yep. 100%. So, and I see it as this, like the more time you have to spend on things that you enjoy, the more value you inevitably provide. And that's where that correlation is, Mitch. The more value you provide, the more money you make, right? It has nothing to do with anything else other than provide more value, you'll make more money. So I think you're exactly right about that. And I think it comes to a point to where, and we might be segueing into this, a lot of people do struggle though giving up control. I think a lot of business owners, we inherently have egos because we think we can succeed at something by ourselves in the beginning. So we have an ego to think that we do everything the best. And we might do a particular thing the best in the beginning. That's fine. But you have to think about,
you can't do everything the best. You know what I mean?
You can't do everything the best, but you can do some things the best. But it's those things that are not allowing you to focus on what you're actually supposed to be doing, right? I'm really, really good at finance and accounting work because I have a background to that. Does that make me money? No, it doesn't make me money, but I'm really good at it. So I think it's really important to understand just because you're really good at something doesn't mean you need to keep doing it. It means you need to do the thing that one, moves the needle, and 2, that you enjoy doing. Like you see right there. I'm trying to point there. Those toys right there. Okay. That's toys from my 10-month-old son. If I was trying to do every single thing in my business and wear every single freaking hat in my business, do you think I'd have any time to play with my son? Any time to hang out with my wife? Any time to work on myself? No, you don't. And I think people have this idea that they have to work themselves into the ground in order to succeed. And that is just not true.
Right. I've had contractors come up to me and say, So what kind of work do you specialize in? They say we do it all. And that's a big, big no-no to tell Mitch Stephen. You're a contractor and you tell me you do it all. I'm going to say to myself, this guy's no good at anything. I want someone to go
mediocre at a few things.
Yeah, I can do a little plumbing. I do a little electrical, but what I'm really good at is sheetrock. Okay, there's my sheetrock guy. You know what I mean? What I really want to do is sheetrock. Okay, there's my sheetrock guy. The only exception to that is if they're a foreman and they know how to hire really good specialists. They're kind of an anomaly.
Right.
And you're having to pay the markup, which is fine with me. If I got a good foreman, I don't have to worry about it. And I have one. So let's start with the obvious question. What separates you from the other VA finder, helper, labor people out there? I mean, you're not the only one out there. So
no, absolutely. There's definitely DIY, do it yourself. You can go to Fiverr, you can go to Upwork, you can go to onlinejobs.ph, and those platforms are great. I'm not gonna dog any of those platforms. The issue is oftentimes when you're trying to find virtual staff, you need an employee. You need someone that's going to work for you long term. So that automatically pretty much removes Fiverr and Upwork because those are more project-based platforms. And the issue with those platforms too is they charge fees that go directly to that middleman. So that's that. And they don't really offer any value. The only value Fiverr and Upwork offered by charging that fee is like, hey, I allowed you to come onto our website and find this person for a project-based project. So it removes those. Now you got onlinejobs.ph, great platform, probably the biggest hub for Filipino talent in the world, I would think. However, it's $100 a month or $70 a month or something. That does not mean that you actually hired someone. That means you have access to hire somebody. So you have to pay before you even hire someone, which is fine, but information overload. There's millions of people on there. Good luck finding exactly who you're looking for and spending all of your time interviewing people when you might not even know what you're looking for. You can find a full-time employee there, but now it's a concept of time. You got to spend a lot of time on that platform to find what you're looking for. Then you go the other route. You have these agencies. They're like, hey, don't worry. You pay us monthly, $1,500 a month. I'm going to give you 10 hours a week for this resource. But hey, guess what? You can only work with this resource during this allotted time because the other time during their workday, they're working for other clients. So that's fine, right? You have your time back because someone else found the resource for you. But now, one, you're spending more money hourly, $1,500 for 10 hours a week. And again, that's an example, but just to kind of put it out there, it's more expensive hourly. And you don't have that control. Okay, so I have to work with this person for this time frame. What if I need them a different time frame? Okay, well, we're gonna find another resource. What if I don't like that resource? Okay, well then I don't know what to tell you. So there's a lack of control there to the client when it's their employee in the first place. So there's that. Now there's us. We're kind of a hybrid approach. We're gonna find everybody for you. We have the database and the connections. We have a grading system that allows us to place very, very quickly. We have about 2,500 vetted candidates in our grading system. And then we have a Facebook group, one of the biggest of its kind. We use it to source about 15,000 people, but we give you the control. We're going to do all the sourcing and save your time and find the top candidates. We give you control to pick and choose from the top 3 or 5 who your favorite is. And then they get to work on your schedule. That's your schedule. And there's 2 models that we also offer. You might not want to pay us monthly. You might not want to pay us a management fee. That's fine. That doesn't matter to me. We'll charge you an upfront fee, no recurring fees. Only fees that's going to be left from you is due directly to the VA. And that's fine. People understand that. Great. I don't want to pay a company. I don't want to pay a middleman monthly. Really quick. Let me get to the second model really quick. And because then we'll dive deeper into it. Pay monthly. What if then people started coming, well, hey, I don't mind paying that up front, but I also do want help on a monthly basis. Like, can you handle payroll? Can you do time tracking? Can you do efficiency and productivity management, stuff like that? Sure. Absolutely. I'm not going to mark you up 150% like most companies. We charge $2 per hour extra. So a resource that was $6 per hour is now $8 per hour, but now you have access to us 100%. So what we're doing is we're giving the client control. We're giving them more cost-efficient solutions, and we're making their lives easier to where when they get a resource, they don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops and walk on eggshells with when they can and can't work with this person, what they can and can't say. Like, no, this is your employee. Or technically your employee, they just happen to be under our HR department. That's it. So the way it works is we give more control, we save you time, and we can give you full-time employee or project-based person. It's completely up to the client.
See, so I mean, some of this stuff I'm going to state is like my personal opinion. So you can take it or leave it. But my personal opinion is, you really need someone who only works for you. Okay. Because
I agree.
one of the things that the Filipino, what I've learned, and tell me if I'm wrong, but what I kind of gathered from my time with VAs, what they value is that they're going to have a long-term job with you. They trust you, that you're not just going to be there for a month or two, and then they're going to have to be looking for another job again. They really appreciate the company that they work for that takes care of them. They're not so entrepreneurial per se. And I'm not lumping all Filipinos in a general bucket here, but in general, they really take pride in working for a good company or someone who takes care of them. And it's pretty easy to take care of VAs. Real little things, like giving a Filipino VA bonus is like you going out to a couple of dinners. It's not
one dinner.
One dinner. $100 for Christmas or $50 for Thanksgiving, just as a thank you. It's not a big deal. End of the year bonuses, $500. I worry about sometimes. I always wanted to ask you this question. I worry about overpaying them a little bit because I'm afraid that the American dollar goes so far with them that they'll just take the year off or take 2 years off if we pay them too much.
Well, let me stop you right there, Mitch, because a lot of people have that same question. And the biggest problem in this industry is turnover. And it does not matter where you're located. People quit, people get fired. It's part of it. What we found through our research is financial related reasons are only half the battle, right? People need to be paid adequately. And what people have to understand is if you are not giving bonuses, not giving financial incentives, probably underpaying what the VA wants hourly, once they get just $1 more per hour offer from another company, they're gone. Now, what we do with our company is when the VAs come in, we allow them to dictate their hourly rate. Are you worth $8 per hour? Prove it through your interview and resume. And I believe you. I'm not going to say you're not worth $8 per hour. People got to eat, and different locations have different expenses. It's part of it, right? But the other half of the battle is contribution and communication. If you have a $4 per hour VA or a $5 per hour VA and they're happy with that, if they're bored all day long, they're going to quit. It doesn't matter if you're making $1 million a year. If you hate what you do and you're bored all day, you're going to find something else to do. We're humans. We need to enjoy what our days consist of. So there's that contribution and communication, right? Communicate with them, make them feel like they're part of the family, make them feel like you care about them, because you should. So that's where we also differentiate is we give client training to people who don't have experience to say, don't worry about the money part. We've already solidified they're getting paid hourly what they want to get paid hourly. But what you have to focus on is how can you be a good a leader to this person? How can you help them contribute to your overall mission? How can you communicate effectively with them? Because that's the other half of the battle. And when we started instituting this training and allowing them to dictate their hourly rate, turnover goes down dramatically. Now, of course, you have those outliers of people who just suck. It's part of it. People do suck. Again, you have to think about it. It's not just money. Money does play a role, but you have to make them feel like a part of your team. To answer your question, if you overpay them, if they love what they do, hey, that's just a bonus. They just got paid a lot more to do what they love to do, and they're going to keep doing it.
So I would talk to my VAs about what are their goals? What are they shooting for in life? What do they need to do? Like one of my VAs said, I want to build a house. I said, well, how much does a house in the Philippines cost? Of course, what he needed to build for his family was about $5,000 or $6,000 for a house. They already had the land. And I say, so, I'm thinking in my mind, this guy's not going to quit. He has goals that are going to take some resources from him, that are going to take some time, years maybe, so if he does good, he's going to take that money and put it into this house or to the building this house. And he's going to be around for a while because houses, he's not going to be able to finish it all at one time. So I like to be generous with my VAs, but it's so easy because of the exchange rate. I mean, talk about we're in the United States of America, we paid $10 or $12 for a lowest level employee, and they can't even clean a toilet right. You know what I mean? They can't do anything right. We see it every day. I go to the drive-in, I order a hamburger and fries and a couple other things, and it's always wrong in the bag. It's wrong. But when you hire someone for $6 or $8 an hour in the Philippines, you're getting people that have managed hospital floors or talk to me about the exchange rate. What is $6 an hour like in the Philippines?
So the best example I can give you is there's a story about a couple retiring in the Philippines for 10 years on only $100,000. So just to make it simplistic, I argue that you need if you're going to retire, you probably need $100,000 per year to live. It's expensive and it depends off location, but let's just use that simple explanation. So if you argue that, that means that $10,000 in the Philippines is equal to $100,000 here in the US, just by that simple explanation and calculation. So if you pay somebody $10,000 a year, right? $10,000 a year, which equals 6 figures here in the US, you divide that by 2,080 hours, working hours, that's $4.80. Now, I know and I understand that locations, experience levels, it's all going to differ, right? $100,000 in LA does not go as far as it might in Montana. It's part of it. Same thing in the Philippines. But based off that simple explanation, we argue that the economy in the Philippines is probably roughly, let's just use a range, 10 to 20% of what it is in the US. So when you think about that exchange rate, you feel better about, okay, I'm not taking advantage of somebody, but I can also pay someone $6 per hour. What does that portray to in the US? And I'm getting a really, really, really good employee, a really badass employee that can do more than just clean toilets, right? They can do analysis. They can talk to clients. They can do project management, whatever the case might be. So I think it's opening people's eyes up, because I think people see that low hourly rate and they lump them in with the high schoolers here in the United States that are around that hourly rate. And they're like, okay, there's no way. But
it's not the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same at all.
So, and the one reason I wanted that up is that you're not taking advantage of people overseas. People that make $8 or $9 or $10 an hour overseas, they have maids, they have servants, because they're paying those servants $2 an hour to clean their house. You know what I mean? Or $1 an hour to clean house. So it's relevant. And I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that you're taking advantage of somebody overseas because you can. It's not the case. It's just the exchange rate and the cost of living. There's just a big difference.
It's very different. Very different.
And so when you're paying $6 or $8 an hour to a Filipino VA, you're getting, management material, like you said, analysis, list building, computer savvy, can go and build lists, get in your courthouse, do things. And I'm always referring, from the real estate world, but these VAs can help in all different businesses, not just creative real estate investing. So let's make sure.
And I'll tell you this too, something that's a lot more technical is we just placed 2 software developers recently. One of them was $10 per hour. The other one was $13 per hour. Really, really good. Very, very talented. There's absolutely no way you would find that here in the United States. You think about front end and back end, $10 per hour. Let's assume full-time is $20,800 per year. The other full-time is $27,040 per year. So how in the world in the US would you get 2 software developers, very talented, for $47,000 or $48,000 per year? You wouldn't. $48,000 is a starting salary, maybe, in the US, in certain parts of the US. So you should think about the talent that exists over there. And again, I want to reiterate, you're right. We're not taking advantage. I can't speak for other companies. I don't know if other companies take advantage. I've heard of VAs underpaid forcibly at other agencies. I don't know. I'm not going to talk bad about them, but we allow the VAs to dictate their hourly rate.
That makes sense, because, someone says, well, how much are you paying? It says, well, it doesn't really matter. What are you going to be happy with? And let's go from there, because if you're not happy, you're not going to stay. And I need someone. That's
the whole thing. If I underpay you, what's the point of even training you if you're going to quit in 2 months? There's no point.
Because someone offered you $1 more, And the truth is, at least in my business, $6, $8, $10. If this guy's doing what he's supposed to be doing for me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, because I'm making money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus or minus a little bit, I'm still making big money. So
yeah.
I also want to talk about engagement, because we had some trouble with our VAs at first hanging around, because we would give them their task and we would go away and we wouldn't talk to them for weeks and they would just drift off. You know what I mean? Like there was no engagement. So I was talking to Larry Goins. I was interviewing him, And behind him, he has these two computer screens, and there's two Vietnamese ladies on these screens. And come to find out, he has his VAs work from 8 to 5, just like everybody else. They show up at their desk, turn on their Zoom camera or whatever, and he's got them, and all they have to do is hit a button to talk to each other. And what they're doing is they're calling, trying to find motivated sellers. And whenever they get someone hot on the line, they just beep Larry and say, Larry, we've got someone that meets all the criteria. They're on the line right now. Do you want to talk to them? And he just says yes, and he's talking to them right now. But that's one of the things he does to keep them engaged. They are like at his office. He sees them every day. He asks them how their morning was, how their evening was, how their weekend was. They have engagement. And then every Thursday, he takes a couple of their recorded calls, because he has their calls archived. Everything they say from the time they pick up the phone is recorded. And he critiques 2 of their calls to help them get better. Another form of engagement. And then he likes to give them some time on Friday to learn some skills that will help his business. Like he buys them a course for X or for Y or for Z, and they take time and he helps get them better at what they need to be better at, or something where they can grow, even personally, like how to set goals or anything. And he stays engaged with them all the time. And he says he's had these people for years, and that's part of the reason why is the engagement. We at my office are in the process right now of duplicating exactly that. Having the screens, we'll have 4, because I have 4 acquisition managers. I'm actually demanding that all my acquisition managers now get a VA to start making all the calls and start doing a lot of the work, because I can see where my acquisition managers are starting to burn out on calling 100 people a day. And I don't need my acquisition managers to go away. So I'm like making them get a VA and get this off their plate so they can do more of what they enjoy, which is basically showing up and getting a contract signed. That's what they like to do. That's what makes them excited, not the calling.
Yep. No, I love it. I mean, you're exactly right. As far as engagement, a lot of people miss the mark on this. What we do is we have every single morning, they just say good morning whenever they're about to leave. Hey, thanks for today. We have a daily status report that they always fill out, kind of talk about their day, what went wrong, what went right, any questions they got. We do a weekly huddle every Friday afternoon, kind of talking about what happened during the week, what they're looking forward to next week, talking about what plans they have in the weekend. It's not hard to engage with your VAs. I think what people need to do is make it a priority, because they are a team member. And again, it's not so much financial. It's, do they feel like they're contributing to the overall mission of the team? And that's really, really important going forward.
Well, in knowing that you're the same way, I'm the same way. I mean, you want to be engaged. You want to, we all need some interaction to keep it healthy. Our acquisition managers could work at home. They could work anywhere they want. We make them come to the office. So there is that banter. There is that rivalry. They can hold contests between themselves, go to lunch. I mean, sitting at home, making 100 phone calls a day and trying to negotiate all by your lonesome, it's just not very fulfilling. And I think, the whole world thinks that they have figured out how they don't need office space anymore and everyone can work virtually. I think that's going to backfire in a lot of cases. The productivity is going to go down because it's too easy for them to sit down and not do the job when no one's watching. A lot of people don't have mental fortitude.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends, right? I think some people work well remotely and some people don't. I think it's just figuring out what that environment is, what people prefer, and then going from there. I mean, the nature of virtual assistants, they're all going to work remotely from home. I think 1, making sure they have the correct equipment, 2, making sure they know how to do their job, and 3, communicating with them, making sure they're on top of their tasks, and you're good to go. What we do is we say, hey, listen, here's your deliverables. I'm going to pay you for 40 hours a week. If it takes you 20 hours to do deliverables, that's fine. Do what you got to do, but we're going to pay you for 40. I think it motivates people when they feel like they're being compensated correctly. 1, hey, I kind of have a salary here. And 2, when it's like, hey, they're engaging with me. I'm working from home. I like my job. This is great. But I think everybody's different. I think it's communicating, figuring out what their environment is, what they like, and then moving forward from there.
I personally like to, I find that I need to pay about $6 or $7 an hour to someone. So they speak English really well. They kind of understand more. There's a lot of people that have already been trained by other companies that we don't have to really do everything. Of course, my courthouse is specific. Some of the tasks I want are a little more specific, but they're not new to this game,
Right.
at all. Some of them are actually quite highly qualified. How do you know that you're getting the right quality VA?
Well, there's three different components. First and foremost is culture fit. I think you need to be able to get along with this person well. And you normally know that in the first few minutes that you're talking to them, but you need to figure that out before you hire them. So that's why through our process, we suggest what we call a panel interview. You pick your favorite 2 or 3 applicants that we've provided and talk to them. In a panel interview, my team sets all that up and you're good to go. But culture fits first and foremost. Doesn't matter how good they are. Doesn't matter how well they speak English. If they don't have a good culture fit, it's not going to work. English proficiency. We assess for that in our application process, both on a written, audible, and spoken perspective. But again, that's something that you further assess in the panel interview process. Again, that's something that you can pretty much tell right off the bat. They can speak well, they're a good culture fit. What's next? Skill. Now, skill, it's going to be different, right? What are you looking for? That can mean a lot of different things, but I think it's knowing, you got to know the right questions to ask. We handle the initial, base questions around that particular position. But for instance, software development, even though this guy's a front-end software developer, there might be a specific language or a specific thing or whatever that the employer wants to ask about. You got to know the right questions to ask. The first 2 things, culture and English proficiency, you can tell that very, very quickly. Skill is the hardest one to assess for, but you have to know the right questions to ask. You have to know what you're hiring for in the first place. And again, if you have a very, very vague job description, you have to have the SOPs. If you can't really ask those questions of, hey, do you know how to manage email? That's a very vague question. Anybody can manage email. How do you want your email managed? Create that process and you give it to the VA. So again, culture, English proficiency, you can tell that very quickly. Skill is all about knowing the right questions to ask.
Yeah. Okay. So if someone wants to talk to Brady Morgan or his team, and I'm assuming they're going to get a hold of your team, I want you to go to 1000houses.com/VA today. VA today. That'll take you over to the show notes, and over there will be all the information, any websites, anything that needs to be known, or it's over there in the show notes. So 1000houses.com/VA today. Tell us about some of your success stories with your VAs in companies that you help find VAs.
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked with, let's say, a couple hundred clients so far. We placed several hundred VAs. I would say the main ones, let me preface it with this. There's no vertical that we can't work with. I'll say that. Every vertical can use a VA. It doesn't matter if you're real estate, mortgage, digital marketing, software development, whatever. We can work with you. We've worked with a lot of different verticals. Now, our major success stories, one of the companies is called Hook Point. It's a major digital marketing agency out of LA. They've worked with Rihanna and Taylor Swift, a lot of big names. Worked with a company called Elevator Studio. They're another digital marketing company, influencer marketing more so. They worked with Jake Paul, Postmates, Dan Bilzerian. That's a big company we've worked with. We've worked with one of the largest mortgage brokers in Canada, Centum. We've worked with one of the largest property management companies in, I think it's the Northwest United States, called Real Property Management. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but there's a lot of big companies we worked with. But I want to preface it with this. If you're a small company or a medium-sized company, it doesn't matter if you're well-known. It doesn't matter who you are. You probably need a VA. And that's the best place to start. When you're smaller to medium-sized and you have a smaller knit team, inviting those virtual staff into your team, into your family, allowing them to grow in whatever position, whatever vertical you need them to be in, they can 100% do it. But I think for us, those are the biggest companies we've worked with. We worked with several others, a lot of individuals who are big in their respective niches. But yeah, like I said, there's no vertical we can't work with. We can work with anybody.
So I always tell people, the one-off entrepreneur, he's wearing all the hats. He's doing everything himself. He's a solo guy, doing it all by himself, which is typical starting out. I did it. Probably you did it a lot. Almost everybody starts out that way. I always tell them, take the easiest things and delegate them first. One, bookkeeping, delegate it. Note servicing or management, property management, delegate it first. Get all the things that are easy to get off your plate. I don't think about this when I think about bookkeepers, but there's some really good bookkeepers in the Philippines, right?
Yep.
And also have you ever helped anyone find a property manager from the Philippines?
Yeah, we've done that before.
And so, property management can be expensive, and they don't really care about your company because they have a whole bunch of companies to deal with, and you're just another company. It might be better off to get a Filipino VA, train them in property management and your properties and your way that you do business. And then they work for your company and only your company, and their job's to save you money and to make sure that, the maintenance man's not ripping you off and all this stuff. So some of the things you don't think about, you can get a Filipino VA to do that too. People are a little bit worried about doing my books overseas in the Philippines. It sounds risky, like they can get to me somehow, I don't think that's the case,
There's platforms out there that can protect you. Like I understand people who are wary about letting a stranger into their QuickBooks account. Like I get it. I think it doesn't matter if that's domestic either. I mean, someone in the US can 100% scam you too. It doesn't matter where they're located. But a platform that we found out, if you're just now getting a bookkeeper for the first time, it's called Tiller Money. Essentially, you sign up, it's like $80 a year. You connect all of your financial accounts to it, credit cards, checking accounts, whatever. And it pushes all raw transactions to a spreadsheet. So if you don't use QuickBooks, this is great. And if you're just getting started, because a bookkeeper is going to know what they need to do. If all those raw transactions are in a spreadsheet, they can do what they have to do for reconciliation purposes, monthly reports, income statements, balance sheets, whatever. So that's what we use, or we use in the beginning. We've moved on from that a bit, but it works. And the only access the bookkeeper has is to the Google Sheet with the raw transactions. And what are they going to do with that? So
that's called Tiller Money, Tiller.
Tiller Money. I think it's tillerhq.com or something like that.
Tillerhq.com. Anyway, Tiller Money. Yeah. So my advice to the young entrepreneurs out there is to get something off your plate, one at a time. Get this off your plate, get them trained up. Once you feel comfortable that you can walk away from that person that's in that seat now and they can do a fine job, then you start working on the next seat. And if you just keep working on one seat after another, it's like building blocks. You look up one day and you've built a castle and it's strong and it's sturdy, and you can leave it and come back to it when you want to, and it's still there. That's the whole point to me. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out that that's the whole point of business and money is freedom. That's the only 100%. Reason you could ever do it,
100%.
So start looking at your business like that. And maybe you get a hold of Brady Morgan and his company over at 1000houses.com/VA today and get a consult. Tell them what you're looking for. Discuss your fears. If you're afraid of something, if you think, the person you're looking for is going to be impossible to find overseas, give them a call, because they may already know someone, they may already have someone, or they may be very confident that they can find them. And it sounds like that you are confident that you can find just about anything.
Absolutely. I mean, there probably isn't a fear that hasn't been addressed already. So bring them to me and we can sort it out together.
Yeah. This is money very well spent, guys, for any entrepreneur out there in any business. Get some help, please. The sooner the better. Don't wait till you're burned out, because then there's nothing left inside of you to go try to fix your business. I almost made that mistake. It was a horrible mistake. I almost threw my whole business away because I just couldn't do it anymore. $1 million a year. It's like, I can't do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. At one point, if I never saw another house in my career, that was going to be fine with me and I was going to quit. I figured out over about a year and 2 months, how to one chair at a time. Took me about a year and 4 months to get it running, like a train down a track. And I thought I would take a cut and pay to do that. I'd have to pay out of my pocket these people so I could get some freedom. Turned out I make about 75% more than I've ever made. And I don't even have a desk at my office. I haven't seen the last 400 houses I bought, and I have not seen the last 400 people that bought my houses. And that's
the way it works.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yep.
So anything we might need to talk about before maybe we wrap it up? Brady, have I covered everything? Or I know we didn't cover everything because we could talk for a week, but have we anything you want to add before maybe we wrap it up?
I think that's it. I think it's just understanding and realizing and asking yourself, what is your time worth? And are you willing to spend, $4 to $12 per hour in order to get that time back? So
All right, man. Well, this is Mitch Stephen with 1000houses.com podcast. I want to thank you, Brady Morgan, for showing up today and taking the time. I believe that you should get some business deservingly from this podcast, because I think people that listen to it it's going to strike a chord with them, because I know who's listening to me out there, and I know you're working your ass in the ground and you're not delegating. And if you're one of those people with separation anxiety from your job, or you can't let go, or you're not good at delegating. And I had two of those people in my business. They would not let go of their stuff to a person. They would not relinquish their duties. They were afraid to. I found out the main reason they were afraid to is they never felt like they had the right qualified person that they could trust to hand it to. So let Brady work to find the right qualified, high enough level person, integrity, work ethic, all that. Let them find that person, so that maybe your person in your office that's not delegating, maybe they'll have the confidence to delegate to this particular person because they're just a step up, And we also we've tested some of our VAs, and we've tested some of our assistants that have come in from the United States, just to make sure. That's another little step, little expensive sometimes, but when you're really looking for the right person, you can also do some personality tests and get a little bit deeper insight to who they really are.
Yep.
What comes natural to them. Not that they're lying to you or anything. It's just like a lot of people don't really know what to express who they are. But some of these tests are really accurate,
Yep.
The tests that I gave people, I would have never hired the person that the test said to hire. But my hiring myself was going so bad that I decided you couldn't do any worse than I was doing. So let's go ahead and go with the test this time. I've done it with 3 people. All 3 people I didn't think would make it. The test said they would. All 3 of those people have been with me over 5 years now, and they're really good at what they do.
I love it.
All right, my friends, thank you to taxfreefuture.com. Please go over there and check it out. If you're thinking about rolling over your retirement accounts, tax deferred or tax-free accounts into a self-directed situation, then go ahead and check out taxfreefuture.com. It's backed up by attorney Tim Berry, who specialized in retirement plans and all the legalese and everything that goes with it. And he makes it simple, and you tell him what you want to accomplish, and there's usually a way to get it done. So taxfreefuture.com, check it out. All right, Brady, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate having you on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitch.